everybody. We have a game with the white pieces against El Goat 2000 rated 1192. We open up with the Jobava London ideas. He stops us from playing e4 in the center. So instead we develop a minor piece and control a different central square. He now develops his other knight. We've seen this in multiple speedrun games now, that this is a mistake that they will often make, allowing us to go knight b5 and target this pawn immediately, forcing them to play e5 in order to try and maintain a playable position. But even then they face a lot of troubles. So first of all, they have to find the move e5, which loses a pawn. And then they have to respond accurately after that. And so they either know how to do this or they don't. Figuring it out over the board in a 10-minute game, it's not likely that you're going to find all the best moves. So yeah, let's see what he does. Let's see what they do. I mean, they're 1200, but they're going to fall into this probably for a little while longer. I'm curious at what level they're going to stop putting their knight here. Okay, now this guy, he's really stumped. He's taking over a minute because he sees there's no way to defend it without losing material. So he's either really considering e5 or he's just raging on the other end. Or he's checking his chessable course. But no chessable course recommends this line from black, so it's gonna stop once he plays this move. And this is the exact same idea as the fried liver. In the fried liver, you just do it on the other side. You bring out this pawn and use the other set of bishop and knight. So this is the same thing. So he does find e5. And so this is the pawn sack. So we take with the pawn, threatening the knight, and also threatening the tactic we've been able to play in the other games, which is queen takes pawn. Luring his queen out and then giving this fork, winning the game. So let's see what he does. We've had a game where they've gone here and we just took the pawn. I think we had a game maybe where he went back. I don't remember. But your knight's hit, and so you have to do something. So if he goes knight back and we take the hanging pawn, that looks very strong for us too. So where's his knight supposed to go? If it hits our bishop, maybe that makes the most sense, does it? Let's see. In that case, if we take the pawn, our bishop's hanging, so... Okay, he doesn't do that though. He attacks our knight. Counterattack. I respect it. Okay, so let's calculate. We get a knight. He gets a knight. We get a pawn. He gets a pawn. No point in that. Let's try a different move. We take here. We get a pawn. He gets a piece. We get a piece. We're up a pawn. He gets a piece. He's up a piece. That doesn't work. Okay, let's try... You can't take in the center because the knight covers. If you just go back, His knight's still hanging, and so is the central pawn once he moves it. If he counterattacks you again, that's just naughty. Naughty boy. Then we take, then he takes, we get a queen, he gets a queen, we win a pawn. That kind of works. At least we get a second pawn there. Otherwise, if we go back and he just moves the knight, his central pawn's hanging, but if he attacks the bishop, so maybe this is playable for him and he's only down one pawn. Which is still good for white, of course, but there's also this square which I didn't check. But that seems normal. Is there nothing else after takes? Yeah, probably not. So let's just go back. Okay, so he goes here, which doesn't hit the bishop, but double attacks our central pawn. So if he's saying if we get a pawn, he gets a pawn, but we're already up a pawn. Also, we don't need to give him that pawn. We could just develop normally and defend it. That's a thing. We are wasting a lot of time, though. So if we develop normally, then maybe he can move his pawn so he doesn't lose that. But then we can move our knight into the center, kick his knight. His position's pretty trash. Otherwise, if we take this immediately with the queen and he takes and takes, we're still threatening a fork, so he doesn't have time to take our pawn. So it all looks good for us. Take the pawn or develop a knight. Which one? I'm going to take the pawn. More forcing, it gives him less possibilities, less options. He can't just do whatever he wants. I mean, he kind of can, but our position looks very strong. We definitely, once we get long castling in, it's going to look very strong. You just have to watch out that this knight's hitting this, so we got to kick the knight first. Just with, okay, so he takes the queen, and now we recapture with threats. So he has to react, and he can't put his bishop here, so that's very inconvenient. You don't want to move your king over because you're walking into the long castle. And again, this knight, it is hitting this pawn. We don't want to kick it and have it take the pawn if we can defend the pawn with a normal developing move and then kick the knight, right? So we just switch up the move order a little. Wait, what? Okay, he just takes a pawn. He does not care about my exchange that I'm going to win. He just takes a central pawn. This doesn't threaten anything. Therefore, I'm going to go for my exchange. And I also get the pawn. That's a lot of material. He puts his king in the center, which is ridiculous. It also blocks his own bishop, walks into rook checks. But for the time being, let's take a free rook. And then he develops quickly like it's part of his plan. These two pieces coordinate on the square. So even if you develop the knight, he can still take on the square. So we start things off by developing our light square bishop by playing e3. It develops a piece. It also stops the coordination from his pieces. And now he has nothing to play for, I was just going to say. And so he resigns. Perfect timing. Once you shut down their idea, their hope, the thing they're banking on, they just don't feel like playing anymore and they resign. Or run out the clock. So we go into a Jobava London, right? And time again, they develop their knight here naturally, but it's a mistake. Because knight b5, and we target this and already win a pawn. At the very least. So we take free stuff. Because it hits the knight, it comes for free. He counterattacks our knight, and what is the best move? Oh wow, by a pretty significant amount is knight c3. Look at that. Good thing I found it. I mean, it's the other moves are playable, but if you want to keep your advantage, you have to play knight c3. I didn't know that. Now I know that. So we played knight c3. We got the advantage. Okay, so his best move is to go to this side. That's good to know. That's what I thought it was. And then what's our move? Okay. So we don't... Okay, he's attacking the bishop, which is defending the pawn. But he's also hanging the pawn. If you take the pawn, it defends the bishop, so that makes a lot of sense. I didn't even look at that, but yeah, knight takes here makes a lot of sense. Once it's on the board, it's easy to see. Otherwise, if you do anything else like, I don't know, bring it back, he's just going to take it, push this pawn, and then take your central pawn probably. Oh, he has even stronger. Wow, that could turn around really quickly. This could go bad for white super quickly because he's underdeveloped. Okay, so it's important to either take this pawn or play e3, just defending it this way, which also defends the pawn. He's going to take, you're going to take, he's still going to push, you're going to go in the center. But now when he brings the bishop out and you go here, you have easy development, so you should be fine. Different scenario. Okay, that's good to know. So we move back. He doesn't go to the side hitting our bishop. He goes here hitting the pawn. Is this the best move too? Okay, so this is also the best move by a decent amount. What was the other move we were considering? Just knight out? Yeah. It's not even second. Even e3 is better. Although that makes sense because you don't want him ever pushing this pawn. So anyway, we played the best move. Queen takes d5. It seems the most forcing and gives you the best possibilities. He takes the queen, which doesn't make sense because you can't defend this pawn properly. And it's plus 3.4. Then he takes our pawn but hangs way more material in return, so it doesn't make any sense. We pick up a free rook, it's plus 6. He goes for this one trick. Second we stop it, he resigns. So we have all zeros, 11 center pawn, 96% accuracy. Perfect game, and again it's all due to the fact that it's a very strong idea, knight b5. It'll get you up the rating ladder, you know, up to a decent level, so let's just keep going and see where it takes us. Good luck in your chess. Submit your rapid games in my Discord. Goodbye.